Yo, 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 yo.
What's up? I got my second vax last night or yesterday. I'm dog. Cool. I can't. You cannot be heard. You are unheard. I love seeing the dog reactions. Oh, it sounds great.
I have my mute button on. My new fancy mic.
That's it's hard to get used to those new fancy.
Yeah, my old shitty one didn't have a mute button.
You got the upgrade, man. You're living you're living in the 21st century, man.
I love it.
Everything's got a mute button.
Do you feel like shit, Dad?
Well, I don't as much as I wish I did.
Oh.
Here's the thing: is like last night.
Damn, Trump was right. Trump was right.
Yeah, it's true. Brennan's music. My 5G implant is going great. It's got a mute button, as a matter of fact. So
yes,
I know that.
Who controls it though?
Well, Bill, obviously.
Duh.
But when you're part of the Microsoft gang, you call him Bill.
Obviously, first name basis.
Yeah. So I got it, and what I've heard. So the reason I'm bummed out is twofold. So my arm really hurts. That is one thing that has definitely happened. So if you guys have gotten your first or second vaccine, the shot is whatever, it's a shot, but then your arm, you're just like, fuck, I can barely like move my fucking arm right now.
Yeah.
And then, but I heard that the second one you're supposed to like feel really shitty, or some people feel really shitty. And the people, and this is some like internet rumor mongering, but what I've heard is the people who feel real shitty are the ones who have a strong immune system, and their immune system's fucking kicking ass and doing its job. And I know
those meatball hoagies are starting to pay dividends.
So here are the two reasons why I'm bummed out that I don't feel as shitty as I wish I did. One is because I'm like, oh man, maybe my immune system sucks, or it's fucking so through the roof that my immune system's just like, oh yeah, what's this pathetic little thing? You're just gonna like make us try to fix your like, oh, your little like disease. Yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah, we're gonna try to rewrite your DNA. Yeah. Easy.
We're gonna put our interns on this.
I went to college.
So
yeah,
easy, right?
Bada bing, bada boom. That's what it's doing. Your DNA is restructuring its information brain to identify pathogen.
Exactly. So the other one is I really, really wanted to experience that like middle school. I'm sick. I'm gonna like lay in bed and like watch the Disney Channel all day kind of energy. Yep. Because like everybody at work knows I got my second vaccine, so everybody's like, "Oh, heads up, drink a lot of water. You're gonna be really feeling it tomorrow." So I was just like, hell yeah, man. I get to like fucking play video games all day, and I'm just going to like eat ice cream. I'm not going to work out. And I feel fucking fine, man. So now I'm like, I can't like do it. So hopefully we'll see. Maybe you'll take a turn for the worst. According to plan, I'll feel shitty by the end of the day, which is what I want.
Here's hoping.
I know, but how you guys doing?
Well, I don't get my second one for another couple weeks. But I too am hoping for a sick day. Other than that, I let you guys know my big news for the week, which was about my uncle.
Man, this is a real brain buster, a real trial and tribulation. This thing just blew the roof off.
Yeah.
So we have a guest today actually, which is not in the green room yet. We actually told him to hold off until 8:00 to join us. So today we're going to be joined by Travis Morningstar. If you listen to the last podcast on the left, also the last podcast on the left, but he was on Abe Lincoln's Top Hat for a while. He is the producer for Last Podcast on the Left. So you always hear them referencing Travis in the background, and that is Travis who we're having on. The reason we're having him on is because, yes, Dog Meat, exactly. So Brennan's music, Dog Meat. So Dog Meat is who's joining. So the reason Travis is joining us is because when I did Abe Lincoln's Top Hat, we were like kind of, sidebar chatting. I was like, what's your guys' experience with Reddit? And Kissel's like, I don't know shit about Reddit. And Travis is like, well, I know Reddit relatively well, but mostly because he's sober. He's well documented sobriety, and he used stop drinking as a big part of his sobriety journey, which I thought was interesting. So we're going to talk to him a little bit about his experience with using stop drinking to literally stop drinking. And he is and there's like a whole web of like subreddits that are all kind of in the world of self-help, which is rad. I mean, there's all, you go to stop drinking, and you kind of have a little bit of like what we experienced with what was the one with the medicine one we did, the Medex, what was the one, the really sad,
I think it was smoke hella mugwort.
Oh yeah, smoke hella mug. When we did smoke hella mugwort, it was the one about like the dying patient who like smoked hella mugwort and made him feel better, and that one. But it's a little bit of that world.
Still need to smoke that mug you got sitting in that box.
Well, I have
that wooden box by your bed.
I have a ton of mugwort at my house that I want to smoke, but I'm afraid because evidently it gives you terrifying dreams. Like that's the thing with mugwort. They're like, don't feel anything, kind of sucks to smoke, but your dreams are fucked up.
Oh my God.
Fuck, man.
This might
Why would I do it?
Yeah.
Because you've been trying to get into becoming a meth head and see the shadow people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. This feels like a stepping stone to that. Like if you can't handle mugwort dreams, I don't know if you'll be a great meth head.
Yeah.
You could be so meth head.
Yeah,
right.
If you can't handle me at my mugwort dreams, you don't deserve me at my 72-hour masturbatory cannibalistic fantasy.
Yeah.
Exactly.
My 37-hour ejaculation spree around town with the shadow people eating crabs. Didn't that guy eat crabs? Or
he found a crab and he's like,
I'm gonna eat you.
That was the one where he found a crab and he just consumed it. I mean, but listen, doesn't that sound fun in a way? Like when you not like to be the one experiencing it, but to like have a friend, like when you want a friend who you like. Who just gives us their trials and tribulations, and we're just like yours is like I slipped on a freshly fallen fig, fell on my elbow, and now I'm in a cast, right?
Yeah, like adorable.
They made the cast too small, or they made the cast too big, so it keeps falling off. Like that's a good dog boobs trial and tribulation.
Very much.
Can we play the intro music? Can we play the intro music to Trials and Tribulations right now?
Oh, I'll have to make one.
Don't we have a jingle we can make up right now? Something like it's got to be like
trials and tribulations, and it's time to
That's it. Like an old Folgers ad.
Yes, exactly. Okay, I'll think
about it. The best part of waking up is slipping in big shit.
I'll think about it.
Give us like a good like acoustic guitar riff. I mean, hey, listen, Brennan's music. If you want to make us a theme song for Trials and Tribulations, you are welcome to. We'd be thrilled.
Please do.
Cheers meets Folgers. Think I'm
exactly. Yeah, exactly like that.
Cheers meets Folgers. But anyway, all right. So before we get into that sub though, Dog has one of the greatest. I would say one of the greatest stories. One of the worst stories and one of the greatest stories that is a trial and tribulation that I think maybe we got to like dig into a little deeper.
Yeah.
Because it's so special. That's what I'm going to
say. So the unfortunate part of this, you guys, is that I can't show the picture because I have to respect this person's privacy, and I don't want to put her face all over the place. That's fair. Earlier this week, I received a text from Clensington, my father.
Wait, really quickly, are we allowed to laugh at this, or is this like I don't know what tone this is yet? I haven't decided.
How to I am laughing But I'm also deeply disturbed.
Love it.
So,
Brilliant.
yeah, by all means laugh. I don't know what else to do. So,
okay, cool.
I get a text from my dad, Clensington, and let me actually read it word for word, because he didn't have the level of horror I would expect from my father. He sends me a picture of one of my uncles. And I've got like a variety of uncles because my dad's side of the family is Irish Catholic. So they've got a variety.
They bought the variety pack.
They bought the variety pack. So I've got a variety of uncles.
Uncle Malachi.
Exactly. This one's Uncle. Yeah. This is Uncle Malachi. Yeah. And he looks like he's been through it. He's got a giant goatee. You know, he's like
sick.
Kind of like he's like a rough looking fella, Malachi. My dad sends me a picture of him with his new bow. Except for the nose. Do you think Malachi's new friend kind of resembles you? This is a picture of me.
Yeah. We've experienced this. This is an exact replica. I would say, including the nose. Quite frankly, I don't know why he's kicking the nose.
I don't know why he took the nose out, because
I think it maybe just made him feel better, because otherwise it would have been like a clone of you.
Yeah, like
just to give a little more description, Malachi is 64, maybe.
Yes. Malachi's probably 64. This girl looks like me 5 years ago.
Yeah, she's clearly like in her 20s. So there's a huge age gap.
Gap.
That's the first thing you notice, is the huge age gap.
Huge age gap. Second thing you notice is she looks exactly like me. So
I love it.
Really close. I'm a super face recognizer. I took a test from 60minutes.com about 9 years ago. Yeah. So it's pretty much for sure.
This is what you look like.
One,
you're like
born talent. I was like, and my computer went, and it spit out exact match is what it said. My computer said exact match.
I know. I think it has.
I am the exact opposite. I look at people and I go,
face blind. The face blind episode for 60 minutes. That's what it was.
So I always look at. I'll see a baby. It doesn't matter what baby. And people are just like, oh my god, it looks so. I can't believe it. I'm just like, this is a fucking baby. It looks like a baby. What are you talking about? Right.
Right.
So I don't have
baby dolls have molds. They all look like that.
What about adults though?
Adults, cool. Hey, what's up, Changus?
Changus 9.
Changus Dong.
Oh, okay.
We've finally broken into the Middle East. That's what I've been looking for.
That's what we've been trying to do.
Anyway, okay, continue.
So I respond, oh Lord, yes, puke face. Triggered. No freaking way. Gross. This is what Clensington tells me. This is the kicker. Here's the shocker. Her name is your name.
I can't believe it. I cannot wrap my head around this.
And my last name.
This feels like a goof. Are you getting pranked here? Where's Ashton Kutcher? Where's Dax?
Clensington goof, dude.
And I'm like, Clensington, why are you telling me this without any horror? You're like, his tone, my father's tone, is more like, can you believe it? I'm more serious than a heart attack. Wow, weird. And I'm like, Dad.
I think that's that's boomer humor. That's a little bit of boomer humor.
Hey, your uncle almost wanted to molest you your whole life. Hilarious.
I'm like, what? Unless they met at a masquerade ball and fell in love there without knowing each other's names, and then the horror of, oh no, you look just like my niece and have the same name as my niece, but we're already in love. That's the only way I would accept it.
That does feel like a cool Lifetime romantic comedy.
Yeah.
It does sound like a romantic comedy. I mean, I don't know. So a couple big important questions here, which I think are really important to field.
Yeah.
So first of all, I forgot the first question. The second question, though, is who would play Who would play? Actually, good
Nick,
question.
Nick Nolte would play. Nick Nolte would play.
Nick Nolte would play.
Would Malachi?
Uncle Malachi.
We got four important characters in this. We got Malachi.
Yes.
We got Aaron. I'm just gonna say your name because I think it's
hilarious.
Aaron
Emma
Moore
Stone.
number 1.
Emma Stone,
which is you.
Yeah. Oh,
Emma Moore number 2, or Aaron Moore number 2, which is the like Malachi doppelganger.
Yeah.
She's played by that girl from the Ozarks with the curly hair. You know what I mean? Because the second girl like looks like if you grew up like up river. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like we're the same exact DNA, but like maybe she didn't have fluoride in her water, or maybe like
or too
her
much
bones
fluoride.
Are stronger. Like she probably ate vegetables growing up. You know,
she ate bones growing up.
She ate bones growing up, like unlike me.
So who is who plays Clensington though?
Oh, well, okay. You know who plays? This is not who plays Clensington in real life, but in my brain, Clensington is played by that guy who is like the lifestyles of the rich and famous.
The super tan guy.
Yeah,
the George Hamilton.
George Hamilton. That's not at all what my dad.
I was thinking maybe Michael B. Jordan to play Clensington.
Oh. Yeah. Hey, I don't hate it.
There's no reason not to.
No, I think Michael B. Jordan should be Dog Boobs' boyfriend in the story. And then you guys are like getting ready to plan your wedding. And
it's like, do we invite Malachi?
Yeah, Malachi has to come.
I'm not inviting Malachi.
And there's a switcheroo at the wedding, and all of a sudden, Michael B. Jordan is legally married to the girl from the Ozarks.
No!
And then what do we do? Where does the story go from here?
Where does that leave me?
You have to marry Malachi.
Now I have to go with Malachi.
You're legally required to marry Nick Nolte, I think is actually how it goes.
Except so here's the twist. You go along with it, and then when you guys are about to break bread in your guys' pants, you pull a knife out and you stab him in the eye and you kill him.
That's perfect.
Do we know any agents we could pitch this to directly?
Actually, I think it's a great story. It's I can't tell if it's a horror story or a rom-com yet. I'm somewhere.
Dude,
I mean, it feels like there's a lot of calm involved in this.
Like if Cape Fear, like if Robert De Niro from Cape Fear was your uncle and showed up dating someone that looked exactly like you, you'd be like, I'm a little uncomfortable.
That's a great comparison. Right. Cape Fear, man. Whew, good movie.
Yeah, I mean, this does have shades of what I experienced. So maybe you're about to get this as well, because when my mom remarried, she remarried the father of my new stepdad Rick, the legendary stepdad Rick. Fucking goddamn
guy wears the guy's outfit is 100% sweat wicking athletic athleisure.
Exactly. So stepdad Rick was like my high school or my like grade school baseball coach, because his son was a like absolute superstar, unbelievable freak athlete that everybody was afraid of because he was so fucking good at sports and could literally pull you over in a moment. And so when my mom remarried, all of a sudden I became the second Ben in the family and the worst of the two. So I went from being the number one Ben to now I'm the number two Ben. I'm Ben Jr., right? And it fucking sucks. So my stepbrother Ben is better than me at all sports, which wasn't the case a year ago.
I'm sorry, but you know what? Who's better at music?
I've never seen Ben do music stuff. So
well, here's the twist. The guy plays.
Who's better at mid-sized podcasting though?
Exactly.
This guy.
Exactly.
No, but here's the twist. Ben number one plays classical piano like a pro.
That's true.
And reads books for Audible. So I'm just saying, the guy does it all, man.
Right.
Yeah.
Does it all.
So also shout out to our friends Mosteen and Changus.
Yeah, Changus 9 and Mo something are going in on America right now.
Going in on America right now.
We couldn't agree more, guys.
Yeah,
You're
listen,
barking
man.
up the right tree.
We don't know what you're saying, and listen, earmuffs. If you guys are conspiring against the American military industrial state right now, earmuffs. We don't know. We don't read it.
Go for it.
Do your thing.
Apparently, it does says Marg Bar America. We do have a lot of margarita bars here, so accurate.
Yeah, it is accurate.
You aren't wrong, quite frankly. Yeah,
they both said that one. So
and then down, the last thing the guy says is, one guy says "Zafar bia Bermin America terror." The only words I see there are America and terror.
Right.
And then the last guy goes, "Fuck you, America."
I mean, I'm focusing on Marg Bar America,
but I like Marg Bar America, which that feels like the next great chain restaurant.
Yeah. I'd go
Marg Bar America. Anyway, all right. So that is what's happening on the trials and figulations landscape right now.
So any updates though, like lately? Because that's the craziest fucking story ever. It's really weird. I'm worried for you a little bit. Any updates? Are they like posting sexy pictures on Instagram or anything?
No. Well, I don't know. I don't follow them. I don't know. I'm not in contact with him, so I don't know anything. All I know is that my dad thought it was pretty funny for a minute, and then I responded, rightfully so, with horror. And he was like, "Yeah, pretty creepy, huh?" And I was like, "Yeah!" And that's the last we talked about it.
So wait, what is your current relationship with Malachi?
I don't have one. Like,
you barely know the guy.
I barely know the guy. Like, I've got so many uncles and aunts and cousins that I don't even know all my cousins. So
cool.
Yeah, there are just a lot of them.
Just one of those.
Is the silver lining that all Irish people look exactly the same?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Every single one.
Maybe it's just that. Maybe everyone's kind of got the same 3 names and looks kind of similar, but
yeah,
I don't know.
I'm going to represent the audience here because I know the audience is probably all thinking what I'm thinking, which is like, let's play the devil's advocate here and be on Malachi's side for a second.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Met at a masquerade ball. So let's paint this picture. We go, hey, I'm 62. I'm on my 3rd divorce, right? Yeah. I might have to live out of my van for a couple months, right? I don't know, but you know what? I'm a little lonely. We're in the middle of the pandemic. I'm gonna start this thing called Tinder profile. I've never heard of it. I'm trying to figure it out, right? It starts like nomad land, right? You're just like, this is sad. This is not good. Feel bad for Malachi, right? Opens up Tinder. All of a sudden, I don't know what's happening in our Twitch stream right now, but I'm again. Hey, you guys have the conversation you want to have. Whatever we're gonna do. I'm cool with it.
If you guys are trying to settle the conflict between Saudi Arabia and Iran right now, hey, this is a great forum for it. This is honestly the best forum for it. So,
we're pretty huge podcasts. We do things like that.
Yeah. Anyway, so to finish the thing. So Malachi going through Tinder, never really used it before. He's like, I don't know if this is for me. Maybe I'm just gonna have to kill myself. I'm so lonely. Things are just not going right. All of a sudden, he sees this person, and he doesn't even see this person. He gets a notification on Tinder. I've never used Tinder, so I don't know how this works. Right? Let's say it's Christian Mingle, right? Because I don't know how it fucking works. So Christian Mingle. Malachi. We got Travis in the green room, by the way. We're gonna pull Travis in here in a second. So, actually, you know what? We're gonna pull Travis in right now so you can hear the rest of this story because I feel like this is a good thing. So, Travis Morningstar.
Hello.
Welcome to Digi-Reddit.
Hey, Travis.
So we're finishing.
Hey!
This is good. This is good timing. We're finishing a story right now. I'm just gonna give the summary. So Aaron, Dog Boobs, found out last week that her uncle, we're gonna call him Malachi.
Yeah, because he's Irish, and they're all
now dating a 27-year-old. That's what we're saying.
She's definitely younger than me.
Okay, who looks exactly like Aaron, and whose name is exactly her first and last name. is that this is a real story. So we're trying to break this down a little bit. What's happening? So Malachi is on Tinder. He's going through. He's lonely as shit. He's maybe going to kill himself because he lives in his van. He doesn't know what to do. He sees a notification pop up on his phone. It says, "Hey, you've been matched," right? And he's like, "Oh, I don't know what matching means. I've never used Christian Mingle before." So he pulls it up. He's like, "Wow, 27? Oh, and she's kind of cute. Oh, shit.
That's my niece."
Oh, that's my niece. But
I guess I'll fuck her anyway. It's just my niece.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then he looks around and he's like, "Who's gonna know?" That's
There's
what
a,
happened.
Everybody in Iran now knows.
There's like a TikTok right now of this girl who's 19 and she's dating her 50-year-old high school tennis coach. And it's like, oh, okay, this is a weird story, I guess. Gross.
Wow.
But then you look at her TikTok and every single post about that. So she's like made her entire identity dating a guy who's like 40 years older than her. Which means like there's some serious grooming thing happening here. Like she's completely internalized. Like, who am I? I'm the person who got groomed by my super old tennis coach. To base your personality around that. And she's like doing Q&As. Like, what do you guys want to know about how I fuck my 50-year-old boyfriend who used to be my teacher?
Dating my tennis
Does it still work? It sure does. Like, she really is like getting into it. And he's playing along too, which makes me think like, this guy must be like one of these criminals who like gets brazen and emboldened by the fact that he hasn't been caught by police yet. So he's like fully showing his face on TikTok, being like, I did it, I did the unthinkable, and I love it. So
he's like, not only did I get away with it,
once they get away with it, they just, they're like Walter White. They just get further Heisenberged by
I love it.
by the crime they're committing.
Oh my God!
Once you get a taste. Once you get a taste.
Find what you love and monetize it.
That's right.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what
I feel like there's a book deal on the horizon for you, Dog Boobs, about this whole endeavor. So.
I got to meet them. If I were a real investigative journalist who wanted to make some money off of this, I would reach out and I would be like, "Can I sit down with you two? I would love to know about your disgusting relationship."
You could easily sell this to Cosmo.
Right?
Isn't it like Teen Vogue that is like now super like they do exposés and shit? Teen Vogue is like
great journalism.
Weirdly,
Teen Vogue is now like cutting edge journalism, which is fucking crazy.
Like I thought Teen Vogue would be the one to like drop the P tape or something.
Yeah,
right.
because of the reporting they were doing in like 2017 and 2018. Weirdly pretty good.
Yeah. Damn.
So insane. So another also an interesting side quest we're dealing with right now. So on our Twitch feed, so we're live right now, of course, and we have our fans on Twitch right now. Shout out Cengiz, shout out Moanstein, Brennan's Music, whatever. They're having a lively debate about Saudi Arabian and Iranian peace, I think, in Arabic. So we're not really following it, but it's happening. So if anybody wants to give us a live update,
and one of the
we've seen a lot of "fuck America." We've seen "peace upon you, Saudi Arabia." We don't know how it happened. We don't know where it came from, but developing.
They're here. They're queer. They're angry about stuff, and like
I don't think that's queer. I think it's actually
the kind of.
I don't think they're allowed to be queer there. They get their heads cut off if they're queer there in most of those countries.
Is that the kind of like debates that generate in your guys' audience?
Pretty much our core
kind of stuff. Yeah, man.
The show, last podcast, the kind of debates that happen in our comment sections are like, would you fuck, marry, kill Ed Gein, Jeffrey Dahmer, or BTK? And it's like, can we get back to Saudi Arabia, please?
Yeah.
We talk about Saudi Arabia for
we're
once?
Middle East. We're Middle East wonks. To the max,
rarely do we get that. Usually, we're talking about smoking this strange witch herb called mugwort that comes up a lot.
Oh shit!
Which none of us have done, but it evidently makes your dreams really fucking dark. And I have a bag of mugwort. I don't know how we discovered mugwort. It became like a thing that we just started talking about, and then What are the other things? Talk about these.
You got to smoke that St. John's wort. Now that'll get you fucked up.
Whoa!
That'll get you fucked up. You lace it with some CBD, and you got yourself you're going to Hogwarts that night.
I mean, we have a CBD sponsor, so that actually
nice.
Sounds,
nice.
Yeah, that actually is on par with. I don't know. Did we lose? I don't think we're working with our old CBD sponsor. I think we have a new CBD sponsor.
We got a new one, and it's for athletes for athletes, so it's perfect.
That's
for
us.
me.
Yeah, that's us. That's my stepdad Rick, pretty much, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
Specifically about stepdad Rick. But anyway, all right. So Travis Morningstar, welcome to Did You Reddit? So we introduced you a little bit earlier, but Travis Morningstar is the producer or one of the producers of Last Podcast on the Left. Do you do the whole suite of shows, or do you focus on LPOT and
no, just last podcast, and I just left doing Abe Lincoln's Top Hat just because literally my brain is like, it was melting. The whole 2020 time I was like, I feel weirdly okay with all this. I feel like not messed up at all by what's happening around me. And then as soon as the new year came, it just broke my brain.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, I get it. I'm just I just couldn't I just delayed the destruction that was being wreaked on my own mind. So I just don't want to read the news, and I'm so happy to not be reading the news right now. The back-to-back, like it was right. I stopped right when the cavalcade of shootings started up again. And I was like, I'm good. I'm actually gonna just cancel my Washington Post subscription. I'm just gonna go back to Ghost of Tsushima and just pretend that I'm a white samurai for the rest of the year.
Well, lucky for you, our Twitch chat is basically the news, so you can
can't hide.
Anything
Keep me away.
know about,
no, I don't need to know about any of it.
About Middle Eastern politics. You got to come to us from now on. So.
And just to sort of ask, Abe Lincoln's Top Hat. We heard Dad on there.
Yeah.
It was great. So thanks for having that guy on and explaining Reddit.
It's super like, interesting. That's why I'm like, it's funny that you guys do that show because it's really interesting. But go on. And
so that's like a political news of the week show.
To some extent, when I was on it, it was mostly me explaining TikTok to Ben Kissel. But it is supposed to be a political show. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, right. So there's no way to avoid being up to speed on what's happening in the news if you're a host on the show that talks about. But
I've stepped away from it. Now I'm just doing. Right now, my job description is a little vague for Last Podcast. I'm essentially like the Renfield to the Last Podcast Dracula. So I just kind of do everything production wise, including like I'm the tour manager and I'm the editor and everything. So all that stuff. But yeah, for the time being, I'm just not doing any politics stuff because it's so depressing. And honestly, I don't really know a lot about politics. I don't even really know how I found myself on that show. I don't know. I'm done.
Stick to the serial killing murderers.
That stuff. That stuff is not as upsetting to my brain as
there is something about having a narrative that has a beginning, middle, and end that is easier on your brain, even if it is about like raping and eating and killing children. It's like, I know that the guy went to jail eventually and that it's like it ended. Whereas now we're just like in this.
We're in the like raping kids section.
Yes, we are. But we like don't know when it will end, why it happened. There's just so many narratives that are parallel, especially with like this kind of like alter reality QAnon world. It's like your version of reality is in real time being contradicted by somebody else's. And so it is actually very difficult to try to reconcile what is happening because everyone is crazy. I feel crazy. And I know that there are actual lunatics who are believing some of the most batshit ideas. And now they're like forming a coalitions in our government.
Right.
So it's just a very strange time, and I'd rather read about all of the kids under Gacy's floorboards than like who is in the Senate.
So. It is really interesting because the idea of conclusion as a massive part of what fucks everybody up right now is really interesting, because that sums it up really, really conveniently, actually, because that is kind of what it feels like. Is like, well, this could go one way or another. Like another shooting. Well, we
are living in a cliffhanger episode right now.
Yeah,
constantly. Because I've been rewatching Breaking Bad because I didn't watch it. I didn't watch it sober. Speaking of why I'm here, actually, I didn't watch all of Breaking Bad sober, so it's all fragmented in my head. But they, some of the like final episodes of each season, if I didn't have the next season lined up, I would lose my mind. I would go to AMC with a sawed-off shotgun and be like, "Give me the next episode." So I feel like, but we're living in that moment right now in our current events, and it's like, I don't know what's going to happen next. Is Biden Q? Is Biden going to reveal himself to be? I mean, obviously it's Ron Watkins now, but it's I just the anxiety is unbearable, and I already have enough of my own.
Well, it's interesting because the way we're talking about, I mean, it is like I was thinking about this with the Las Vegas shooting the other day, and then we're going to talk about sobriety because I think that we accidentally started talking about the news. But like the Las Vegas shooting, I feel like was an interesting one where people were just kind of like, "Whoa, that's crazy," and then it just kind of ended because there was no explanation, there was no manifesto, there was no great story behind it. It was just a guy,
That guy, what was so strange was that he didn't seem to have such a huge motive or like reason. He just, and his brother, like they interviewed his brother, and he was just like, yeah, he was just sort of a normal guy. He loved Dance Dance Revolution, and like he loved fishing, and it was like, and then he did the biggest shooting in all of U.S. history.
Yeah.
From the window of the Mandalay Bay. What? There was no connection. Totally. And I think honestly that shooting epitomizes our like time, like the time that we're living in, 100%. Because it's just random spectacle of violence, and it really, because I remember sitting in bed hungover, just being like, maybe I should get sober for this, for whatever we're about to go into, for whatever this is. I think I should just like maybe get it together, because I don't want to be at a Kenny Chesney concert and a guy's shooting at me from a hotel window.
Do you think people? Because I feel like the serial killers were like from like the 60s and 70s, and I guess we'll say that, but it was like a quaint time of murder.
Yeah, it was like the golden age of murder.
It's almost like romantic at this point. Like I feel like those guys had to go. They've had to put in a lot of work and think it out, and like drive a lot of miles on those tires. You know what I mean?
A lot of miles.
Yeah.
Now, people like these killers seem pretty lazy, not very like their paths are not planned out. Half of them don't have driver's licenses. No miles on the tires. So you're kind of like, I don't know. I'm like not that romantic about these murders as I maybe would be about those. Well, ones.
Like it makes me think of whenever you play a video game and you're like, let me just take a peek at the cheats. Let me take a peek at the cheat codes. And like suddenly a game
Contra, man. You don't want that spray, dude. But you don't want the spray.
Suddenly a game that like developers work to create a story, and they're like building characters, and that like a guy worked on a particular tree for weeks and weeks and on his computer, and then suddenly you have a giant head and like 19 guns with unlimited ammo, and you're just spraying everything. You just have big head mode on, and you're just like everything is being destroyed, and you're just like, I beat the game in like 5 minutes. That's where like we have like big head mode on our serial killers now, and they decide to have unlimited ammo. Whereas the more romantic serial killer, he would plot and he would dress as a clown, and there would be some
put on his clown makeup.
He would do there would be more like Red Dragon-esque like origin stories where like, oh, this guy stuck needles in his dick like for weeks before he like went on his tear across Wisconsin or whatever.
I will say, in terms
one girl
of like,
didn't go to homecoming with me, and I'm gonna fucking
I'm gonna collect her toenails for years and
in terms of a killer summing up our times, though. I mean, I know this is maybe out of your purview because you haven't been following the news, but the FedEx killer, the guy who shot up the FedEx the other day, was a very committed brony. So
this
that
managed
is
to
actually
reach me. Yes.
Yes. So this is actually one that I'm just like, well, that sounds right.
He looks like
God.
a brony, doesn't
This
he?
kid's adorable.
But you know
you kidding me?
He's a child.
I can't even say he looks like a brony
God.
because I feel like the bronies are very similar to the juggalos in that they are very they stand like as a group, they stand for inclusion, and they did not co-sign this shit. So
no, they did not.
They're gonna kick this guy out of the bronies.
I'm surprised. I would not expect, and I'm sure you guys actually have kind of a unique window into like brony subculture, because I'm positive that there's like a Reddit or two about this, but they don't seem prone to extreme bouts of violence.
No.
It seems like the antithesis of what a magical pony would do.
They are prone to. I mean, so a couple topics that we have like not really in depth covered on this, just because we're like, oh, we got to get our ducks in order before we talk about that. Is furries and. Well, before it was Wall Street Bets, and then we kind of were forced to talk about Wall Street Bets. But for a while, it was like, we're not going to do the Donald. That's going to be really hard. We're not going to do Wall Street Bets because we got to fucking get our shit together before we talk about Wall Street Bets. And then we had no choice. And then furries. And furries, I think, is another one because it's so easy. And I think furries and bronies kind of, the Venn diagram is pretty tight on those two, I'd say. But the reason is because they are like a complex group that on the surface it's easy to be like, that's fucking idiot nerds just like dressing up as animals, fucking idiots. Like we're like, no, this is actually like kind of like the ICP thing where we go like, hold on, juggalos are sick, let's talk about juggalos the way you're supposed to talk about juggalos.
Community is sick, friends are sick, trying to get laid as a teenager is sick, so we're gonna dress up as our brone and we're gonna try to make this like that's all good. Yeah.
The thing is, and this all ties to Reddit, I think, is like community is usually the solution to these kinds of issues, because alienation is what causes somebody to do something as insane as this. Yeah. Exactly. So you would think that this person is just sort of an anomaly. Like this bad apple doesn't represent the brony community. I will say that as somebody who doesn't even know the bronies. It's like there's no way. I even looked at the guy and he looks like a fucking. He looks like Mac and Me, that alien from Mac and Me.
Totally.
Yeah.
He's like he doesn't seem to represent the brony people. Whenever I think of a brony, I think of like an older kind of 5 o'clock shadow guy who like looks kind of like sad, but also you can tell he's a little bit like gentle and has a maybe like a panty fetish. Like he's also wearing panties under his like Cargill outfit or whatever, Carhartt outfit. But that guy looks like he shouldn't belong in a brony community. So it doesn't surprise me that he was the one weirdo in this sea of weirdos that did this.
Yeah, he has too much like potential, so he's got too much going for him to be like.
Doesn't he look like Mac from Mac?
He looks exactly like Mac. I can't believe
this is the greatest. I forgot about this.
Amazing,
him, man.
Who would have thought Mac would have gone postal, man?
Honestly, God,
he looks like such a gentle guy.
The amount of abuse that they've gotten over the years by Paul Rudd alone, I think, makes leads me to believe that this is where it would go. But I think so. That's actually a really interesting, good segue, I think, into the stop drinking thing, because I think that talking about community, and this is really what Reddit's all about. This is kind of why we started doing this podcast, like 180 fucking 7 episodes ago. Yeah. So the reason we started is because I think we were all collectively into Reddit in different ways. I knew Dom and I knew Aaron differently. And then it was kind of like it was one of those things where you would share things to people that knew Reddit. And like, if you knew it, you knew it. If you didn't, it wasn't worth trying to explain it. That was kind of how it started, which in itself was the community, right? Where it's just like, oh, and I'm sure Last Pod actually experiences this a lot, where I have some friends where I'll be like, oh yeah, I listen to Last Podcast a lot. And they'd be like, oh, I don't like that. But I find them annoying. And I'm just like, oh, okay, all right, well, that's ends there. But if you know it, you're like, oh, and then you start referencing old episodes together, and you kind of go through this experience of the whole thing. And so I think Reddit was kind of similar for us, where if you're into it, great. If you're not, I can't tell you how to get into it. It's just you just got to find your way.
It's like math. It's a lot like that.
Yeah. it's like math.
Listen, you got to just find your love for math naturally.
Yeah.
Right. And also, by the way, a little sidebar. I think maybe we got pulled off of Twitch. We might have gotten pulled off because maybe there was some infighting about Saudi Arabia in our Twitch stream.
Oh, I was translating on the side, and there were some death threats happening.
Wait, against who? Against
no,
us?
not to any of us. It was towards Israel.
That should all flag. Great. Now the FBI is going to be watching.
Not what we're here to talk
Shout
about.
out the FBI.
I don't know how that happened, but
hilarious.
But we are not here to talk about that. But
I just gotta say, I don't know, Israel. If you don't want nothing, don't start nothing. That's all I'm saying.
Don't want none, won't be none.
Knock if you buck.
Israel.
Knock if you buck, Israel.
Yeah, but we are. This feels
like a Patriots, like Eagles fans, just like they cannot help but go to one place. Were they
throwing batteries in the comment section or something?
It seems like pretty much. There was you did translate one that said I don't know what wedge you're eating.
It's a death to Israel. Dog Boo's picked one random one and translated. It said death to Israel. Like
death, down with Israel, death against Velayat Fahik, and then Marg Bar America. And I don't know what that was.
Margarita Bar America. Woo! Yeah. That's a good transition.
Margarita Bar America.
Shit went down. We're kicked off Twitch.
Oh, I love it. I know you guys have had problems getting kicked off of Twitch before as well. But
we got immediately pulled off of Twitch. We got immediately pulled off of Twitch because Henry showed a baldo. Do you know what a baldo is? It's like
I don't. I'd love to know though.
It was like a cock ring for your balls.
Brilliant.
We immediately pulled. We got fired from Adult Swim because everyone got fired from Adult Swim because AT&T downsized.
Yeah, of course.
A giant portion of the digital department.
Insane.
And so we went to Twitch, and then in the first episode, Henry was like, "Check this out," and it was a picture. And we didn't know how crazy. Sorry, how crazy Twitch is about their policies. It's really kind of draconian, like the rules.
It's YouTube-esque, honestly. I think YouTube has a similar problem where it's like you can't Jake Paul can do whatever Jake Paul does, but then if somebody goes like, yeah, well, I don't know, the Israeli conflict's kind of complicated, and be like, nope, get off. Get out
dude,
of here.
if you play if you play the song from Frozen on your video, if you play Let It Go, they will ban your video. They will just not let you play it. They're really insane.
But you can go prank dead guys in the woods in Japan.
Yes, exactly. But that's somehow I just don't get it. And so we kind of stay off of Twitch for at least last stream. We do it on our Patreon.
Yeah, you guys have your own, but and we'll talk. I actually do want to talk a little bit more because this is what we do this where we kind of go, hey, we're going to talk about a thing, and then it's just like, well, we talked about something different the entire time, but that's fine. That's how we like to do it.
The core of it is the Stop Drinking Reddit, but then we can kind of strafe it for an hour.
Exactly. Yeah. That's how we like to do it. So anyway, so going back to the community element of Reddit, because I think that it is, talking about bronies, I think it's actually a weird, hilarious, but appropriate segue. Kind of the same thing with ICP and shit like that. We're like, when you are going through a thing or you need help in a thing, or you just feel like there's only a certain group of people who would understand what you're dealing with, you create a community around that, right? So with ICP, my sympathy to them has always been the fact that I'm from rural Appalachia, and so I grew up with tons of people who were in trailer parks, who had broken homes, who were kind of job to job in kind of financial insecurity, and so I would see juggalos, and now I kind of look at it and I go, oh, this is clearly a galvanizing around rural and non-urban poverty, largely speaking, right? Yeah. And these people get together and they form family, and then it is an important way that they all kind of develop as people, and they always feel like they have that as part of their core. I'm got it, love it, I'm into it, right? I think bronies, I don't know the complicated web there, but it's kind of a similar thing. And I think, going to the Stop Drinking subreddit, while it is very, very different, obviously, topically from those two things, I think it's the same in the sense that it doesn't really matter where you're from or what you're like. You all have the same goal. And then you're like, I'm at a place in my life that kind of like the anecdote that you had where you're like, oh, wow, I saw this shooting. I don't want to be in a situation where I'm fucking hammered out of my mind, and all of a sudden I'm bleeding, and I'm just like, oh, ooh, wish I was sober for this, right? Which is a real thing.
Exactly.
Right?
Actually, I wish I was drunk if I did get shot, but Yeah,
exactly. But I think that that's a really interesting way to a reason to come to this subreddit.
Yeah.
And I think that I would like to know what your experience was that brought you here in the first place. You don't have to get into like horror stories if you don't want to, of course, but it's more like what this subreddit was for you.
If I can go into horror stories, honestly, it's like it is exactly that, though. It is the idea, like living in the real world. I could not, for the life of me, find a community that spoke to my like internal crisis that I was having, which was I could not stop fucking drinking, and I like had no reason to stop. There was no tangible reason other than like I feel miserable and it's ruining my life, but that wasn't enough for me to actually do something about it. And there was, if you guys don't mind, I mean, there was like a big event that happened to me where it was February 2016. I was switching from my old job, which was working at a wine shop where I had just like unlimited access to booze and stuff, to a like writing job. And I was sick. I had the flu or something. So I took a bunch of Benadryl, like extra strength Benadryl, while trying to work like one more shift at this wine shop before going to my new writing job on Monday. It was Valentine's Day. I took myself on a drunken Benadryl date to see Deadpool in Upper West Side of Manhattan. And I remember,
as in you alone, right?
I didn't go with anyone. Yeah, I just went to see Deadpool front row in this theater in the Upper West Side after my last shift at this wine shop. And I brought a bunch of booze and mixed it in my giant Coke. And I remember falling asleep as soon as Deadpool showed up on screen. I just blacked out. And I woke up apparently I woke up in the Bronx in a hospital in the psych ward. And I had all these tubes coming out of me, and I was like handcuffed to a chair, not a hospital bed, just a chair. It's surrounded by actual like yipping psychotic, like homeless people, essentially. Whoa. And I remember like they were putting an IV in me, and I was like so sad thinking about this, but I screamed, "I do not consent!" Like half drunkenly, like I do not consent to this. Like, and I was like, "Oh right, I'm in a psych ward. They're not going to listen to anything I'm saying." But so I spent like 2.5 days in this psych ward because they took my blood, showed that I had a bunch of Benadryl mixed with a bunch of like vodka and wine and stuff, and so they had just assumed that I was trying to kill myself at Deadpool.
At Deadpool.
At Deadpool.
What a way to go.
But apparently, what happened, according to the doctor eventually, who told me, was that I like stumbled out of the movie theater and fell asleep in the middle of the street in the Upper West Side in New York. God. And so they took me to the hospital, and they were like, "Well, we're going to keep you in the suicide ward." The thing was, I didn't think I was suicidal. I thought I was just having a nice alone time date on Valentine's Day. You don't have a date to go to, so you just bring a handle of Tito's vodka as your date. But so that was a like super shocking wake up call. And one of the scary aspects of it was that I managed to wriggle my way out of that psych ward by like tricking a social worker into giving me my phone and like calling for help. And I made it to my new job that following Monday, like within hours of needing to be there. Wow. So I managed to like go get put in a psych ward for drinking. And then I got out just in time before my new job started. And I was able to do it. And I was like, I am the definition of a functional alcoholic who is like able to go to the very, like nosedive to the very like last second, pull up, and then go back to my normal life, or like my normal life. And so I was like, I think I'm going to keep doing this until I eventually kill myself, I think. It wasn't, on accident, because I didn't feel like I wanted to kill myself. But so that was my impetus for like trying to get out of it with something like Reddit. But at the same time, the thing that was disturbing to me when I did find this subreddit was nobody had ever in my life intervened up until that point. Nobody said, hey, I noticed that you're drinking like 3 bottles of wine at like noon or anything like that. You know, my coworkers, everyone must have acknowledged it or must have seen it and like kind of gave me like a side eye, but nobody ever like stepped in. And I was like kind of angry for a long time about that. I was kind of like mystified. Like, how do you see someone in such pain, you know, ostensibly somebody who's drinking themselves into a stupor and not say anything or not like say, hey, pump the brakes. And I realized it's the same way that people pass people that are homeless on the street. It's like,
totally.
It's not my problem. And I get that. I totally get that. I'm the same person. You live in New York for so long, you just don't see certain people who are asking for help or who need help or are clearly in some kind of jeopardy. Right. It's just, that is the way the world works. Yeah. And you don't get an intervention until your family intervenes or someone very close to you that you might hurt. So I eventually had to take it upon myself to find that community, which was something I'd never used Reddit before because honestly, I thought it was like, I know it's like a little bit ironic for me to have thought this, but I kind of thought Reddit was kind of pathetic. I thought it was like, I thought it was the like place where incels talk. Obviously that's more like 4chan and stuff, but
that's the common, that's such an interesting part of the experience of Reddit, right? Is because I think most people assume that. And then once you get through that, it feels like that gate is in a way a very valuable gate, because once you're past that, all of a sudden you go, oh wow, you guys all got through the gate too of the perceptual problem of Reddit. Cool, all right, we're all here together, right? Which is very different, you know.
I took a look at it and I saw it was really kind of revelatory because drinking is so pervasive and there's such a permissive drinking culture, and one that is like, you're not allowed to say that drinking is wrong, or like you're not allowed to say that you can't drink, or like I don't want to drink, or it's just so consumed. Drinking is just such a big part of our culture, part of advertising.
An urban adult, because I think that this is, I mean, even you and I, like early on, where I was like, oh, this Travis guy's cool, man, we should hang out. Like in my instinct, always when that happens, is like, yo, you want to go grab a beer? Let's go fucking have a beer and like hang out, you know? And then you kind of go through this thing where or at least I do, where I'm like, why do I say that? And then what is the other thing that I could say to replace that? And then I go, oh, I don't know, I don't have a good option.
Fishing, like, archery, guns.
Fishing, archery, and guns. Hey, do you want to go? Hey, I just met you. Do you want to go shoot off some fucking rifles in the forest with me? It's funny. Just like I remember when you said fishing, I will not go fishing with a stranger because
that's where they molest. Yeah.
When I was a kid in Kansas, there was a story that happened right next. Like, so apparently there was this love triangle. This guy and his buddy went fishing with the initial guy's girlfriend, but the thing is, the buddy like invited them to go fishing at a like a spillway, like a reservoir where there weren't any fish. It was just sort of like a water management site. Yeah. So they got there.
Tank. Yeah.
Yeah, they got there, and he's like casting his hole. Yeah, he's casting his rod, and he's like, I don't think there's any fish out here. I think this might just be like a dam, like a place where they like filter water and stuff. And then the buddy shoots the guy in the head. And because apparently the lady and the buddy were like plotting to get rid of the initial guy, and she freaks out and says like, this isn't what I wanted. I just wanted us to like run away from him. And he was like, no, now he's gone out of our lives forever. I thought you wanted this. He throws this guy's body in the back of a truck and then ties her up because she's freaking out and throws her in the back of the truck with the dead body. And the reason I know all this stuff is because
that man was me.
This man was me. No, this truck was speeding through the trailer park that I lived in. And because the woman eventually wriggled herself free, got out of the back of the truck, covered in her former boyfriend's blood. And she was running down the street at like 3 a.m. through our trailer park. My mom, who was a like late night drug addict, was up on our porch at like 3 a.m. smoking. And she saw this woman covered in blood, and in her like high state, she was like, hey, what's up? Like,
Oh my God.
Can I help you? Like,
You
what's
want some
up?
box wine? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Do you like Franzia? And this woman asked my mom for help, and my mom was like, sure, I got nothing else to do. So she grabs me and my sister, throws us in the back of the car with the bloody woman. I'm sitting with the bloody woman beside me, and she's sobbing, and I'm like, what's going on? And I hear pop, 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 pop. And there's bullets firing into the side of the trailer next to us. And my mom, cool as a cucumber, smoking a joint, just like peels out of our trailer park. And she just like speeds out and takes us to a police station. And the guy was like behind us for some time, but eventually pulled off and fled. But
and was that the first time you saw adult breasts? That woman with the blood on her.
Oh my God!
She was she topless? Sorry,
she was not top. That was you put
my
that
mistake.
in there.
My mistake.
I love you. Like turned it into a bizarre Jean-Claude Van Damme thriller out of nowhere. For you.
Yeah,
I'm from the 80s. I'm from the 80s.
Sounds like a badass.
Whenever anyone is like,
that's crazy.
We should go fishing. And it's like, I know what happens at fishing spots.
I'm not doing
I know
that.
how fishing goes.
I know that murder plots happen there.
I thought for sure you were gonna like say, and we heard about it on the news. Like I did not think it was gonna come to life.
Well, my mom was on. The reason it's such like stands out as well is because my mom was on the news the next day, being like, yeah, well, this lady pulled up and she said, can I have some help? And I was like, sure, get in. And she's just like a Midwestern mom, but she's also like was high out of her fucking mind. So it was just this very interesting thing where I'm like peering out the window, looking at my mom being interviewed about this traumatic thing that just happened to us the night prior.
So funny how those little, because I have a handful of strange memories similar to that. Not like nearly. I mean, that's like insane. I don't have anything like that, but I have an aunt who fell in love with an inmate. She was a geologist at a prison. She taught rocks at a prison.
Oh yeah.
And then she fell in love with an inmate.
Is her name Andy Dufresne?
Yeah, pretty much.
Jesus.
And she fell in love with an inmate who had gone there for domestic abuse. And so he gets out. He comes to our house one day, and it was like my aunt's new boyfriend, and we were just kind of like, cool. And then he left. He beat the shit out of her like the next week, went back to prison, and then all of a sudden we got all of his shit. So for like most of my childhood, there were all these random like missized like leather coats and shit that we were all like, what do we do with this? Mom's like, I don't know. Do you wear it? It's yours. And I was just like, I don't want to wear that. What are you talking about?
Ugly leather blazer.
No, that's how you become like possessed by the spirit of a serial killer, exactly. And you're like known as the Duster. You're like the Candyman of wearing a leather jacket.
Exactly. But anyway. All right. So you are right. Now going back to the drinking thing, I think you are right. Where there's like, it's an interesting thing because even in casual, like adulthood is such a fascinating thing where drinking is just such a byproduct of our society. And it's just I think it's just the default where it's like you go out with a colleague, you're just like, let's go get a drink, right? If I go, hey, why don't we go see a movie instead? People are just like, that's fucking weird, man. I'm not gonna commit.
Yeah, but are we gonna bring alcohol in with us?
Exactly.
And it's
I'm telling you, archery is the best thing. It's good for everyone.
You might be right. Yeah.
But it's kind of easy and it's satisfying and there's plenty of chit chat time.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So
in terms of the sub then, because I think that is, I think probably a big reason why, I don't want to say that's a reason why this sub exists. I think there's a variety of reasons why this sub exists. And there's a lot of, I think this subreddit is similar to a family of subreddits that we know that are all kind of like stop opiates, depression subreddits. Like there are a bunch of subreddits that are all around like, you have a problem, well, so do we. Oh, you think your problem is bad? Well, fucking check this guy out. You know what I mean? And like that, and all of a sudden it makes people go, oh, okay, cool. So I'm not the worst.
And that is a part of that is a part of what I was, I think maybe like the self-soothing aspect of finding this community was I can't be the worst person. I can't be like the most depressing person in this community. And guess what? I wasn't. I found some posts that made me think like, oh, it kind of made me think, oh, well, I'm actually not that bad. Maybe I can continue. Maybe I can just get better. Yeah. But then I found one in particular that was really poignant. It was this like 55-year-old guy, and he posted a picture of himself, and he just looked like a ghost, like an absolute ghoul. And he was talking about himself, and he said that, for anyone that is reading this and you have a problem with drinking and you're a young person, get out now. This is what it looks like when you stop at like 52. Don't do the same thing. And I was like, God, this guy's whole life like was just a way to like get me to stop drinking. Like he wasted his life drinking and then made a post on Reddit, which ultimately would be like a stepping stone for me. What did he do with his, it was extremely sad. And I was like, I don't want to be the guy that like my last will and testament is to like get some 25-year-old in Brooklyn to stop drinking. Right. And nobody had spoken to me about this type of thing before. Like my dad I haven't spoken to my dad in a long time, but he had a problem drinking. My mom obviously had like drug problems, but I never spoke to them about it. So to finally hear like the straight dope about it from this, random father shape on Reddit, it was really kind of startling in a way that I didn't appreciate at the time, because I was like, oh, look at this fucking ghoul. And then, weeks and months later, and today I'm still thinking about it. It's like, God, I'm glad I read that. I'm glad I read that guy's horror story. I mean, he went fully in depth about, his travails of being a drinker, but man, remembering decades of your life is really scary.
Yeah,
it's
really
scary.
That's an interesting element of drinking that you kind of touched on. It's, I think a lot of people are sort of in denial or don't want to be honest with themselves or don't want to see themselves in an honest light. And so they never kind of either talk about it with their kids, like I think a lot of maybe parents do with their kids, or and so you never really get the straight talk as a young person, maybe who's like dealing with some of these drinking issues. And what's nice about Reddit in a lot of ways, which we've kind of discovered, is like, because it's anonymous, you can actually be yourself. Like you can tell the story you just told. You probably weren't ready to tell that before you went through all this stuff, but now you're like okay about talking about it. But in the beginning, you probably maybe were ashamed or embarrassed or whatever. But on Reddit, you can like really put all your dirty laundry out there, and you can be anonymous, and then people come back. And that's kind of what the surprising part about Reddit is. People are really supportive, and they're not going to be like, you fucking fag, dude. What are you fucking passing out in Deadpool? Like, it's not that.
Yeah.
It's
not only are they supportive, it was like really strange, because I made a post when, I lurked, as they say, for a long time, just reading other people's posts. Cause I'm like, I'm not really here. I'm just sort of like, I'm just being a voyeur. Like, look at all these fucking alcoholics while I have like a bottle full of empty bottles. Like I was truly pathetic.
All your bottles are full of pee because you drank all the booze.
That's like, I do not have enough distance yet to talk about the pee bottles that I had in my room, actually. So let's keep that one under wraps. But
I'll talk about peeing in a bucket if you want to break it open. Yeah. That's cool.
But
this is
it's just
scumbag.
So some of the sad aspects of my drinking, I will just say, like I started to think it was my identity in a way that, like, I started a Twitter account where I posted pictures of my empty bottles that I would drink. Like, I just had an empty bottle Twitter account, like anonymous. And I was like, is this sad? No, I think it's okay. I keep it going. Then I bought like one of these, I bought like some kind of device that you can cut a wine bottle in half and then smooth out the top and then turn it into glasses. And so
I watch those YouTube videos.
So I was thinking, I don't have a drinking problem. I have a glassware making addiction. And I just love to make glassware.
Yes.
And nobody can say otherwise.
Quick side note, is that worth it? Because it looks cool.
No, it's so difficult to get a glass that doesn't lacerate. You give yourself a Glasgow smile every time you take a sip of water from it.
I was going to say, you're going to cut
it is not worth
it.
Okay.
It's the device I'm thinking of. It's called a kinkajou, which sounds bad, but it's like,
hey, easy. Whoa.
I know. We
got kicked off of Twitch for that language.
We kicked the Saudi Arabians off the Twitch. But things like that where I'm like, oh, I'm actually fine. It's a part of my identity. I had a sommelier, or I do have a sommelier certification.
Oh,
So it was like stuff like that where I was like, oh, I'm actually a real person, and this isn't just a cobbling together of an identity that's built upon an addiction. But going back to the Reddit, it was weird because not only did I receive support when I made a post, I received tough love, and it's something I did not expect. You know, you think either people are like saccharine and nice, or they're like mean and like nasty. Yeah. There was this middle ground where I made a post that it was before I stopped officially drinking. And I was just like, you know, here's what I'm doing right now. Here, I'm drinking this much. And you know what? I think I might just like cut out Tuesdays. Like I might just kind of take a break every Tuesday. I don't think I really have a problem. And then I would give like exaggerated numbers, like less amounts of drinking that I actually
like at
did.
The doctors. How many drinks do you have a week?
Yes.
And one half of a drink.
And I mean, surrounded by wine bottles and like little liquor bottles and stuff. And I'm like, I'm actually, you know, I'm thinking of going to Paris this year to like go to try some nice wine bars. And it's like clearly not a fancy, elegant existence I'm leading if I'm on the Stop Drinking subreddit. Right. But then I posted that thinking like, oh, maybe I'll get confirmation that I'm actually normal and that I'm just a sophisticate who loves to, you know, live a little close to the edge. And a lot of the replies that I got were like, hey, I can see what you're doing here. Maybe really take a step back and like take a closer look at what you're writing and what made you think to write this to a bunch of anonymous people, because it seems like you're looking for help, but not quite sure how to ask it. And I got a lot of those replies. Wow. And I remember being like disgusted, like how dare you? Like I deleted the post and I was like, Reddit, what is this? I'm just going back to watch It's Always Sunny and drink. Like, what is this shit? They don't know me. These are all anonymous bots. These bots were told to give me tough love. And then
Russians.
These Russian bots are telling me I should stop drinking. Their whole nation has a drinking problem. But but then I of course internalized that, and I was like, God damn it! Like I can't believe Reddit is right about me. Like, can you? Nobody in my life ever wanted to step in and say something that would help me, but Reddit is the reason why. It really was kind of it wasn't the romantic way I wanted things to end with my drinking relationship.
It's a really interesting function of like the society we're in right now, in a way where like I feel like people are afraid to be really open and honest about how they feel about things. Like, especially in politics, right? Like if you say something that's like a little bit too this way or that way, like you don't want to be labeled a this or that and like get canceled or whatever. And so like people are kind of like afraid to say the hard thing a lot of the time, and you're getting these like fluffy news stories, but like Reddit is this place where, because it's anonymous, because the tone of it is what it is, like you can say things that might be, you know, tough to hear, or there's a lot of bad shit on there too, but like there's a lot of things that could help people as well. Or like, you know, it's the information you needed to hear as well. And I don't know how many places there exist like this as like a place to go have some kind of a conversation. And it's really, there's like a really nice function to it. And this is a great example of how it can work.
And some things that surprise me about Reddit is that it is a lot of adults. It doesn't feel like a bunch of 12-year-olds or whatever I thought it was. I think that stuff is reserved for like either Twitter or your more like awful type forums like on 8kun or whatever. But it's like I was speaking to a room full of like lawyers or something. It was like actual adults, professional working people living in the world who had they could compose sentences and they had well thought out explanations for things. And I was like, oh, am I the stupid person in this room? And it soon became, I found out like, oh wait, I am the dumb guy here. I am the person that is trying to like equivocate and make excuses and like explain away a problem that ultimately brought me here in the first place. And then you had these guys that were, of course, much older than me, like this like 50-something-year-old guy, and they were like giving me actual wisdom and like trying to save my life. And it was really sad. And then I eventually did, when I stopped drinking officially, which was sadly enough the day after the 2016 election. which wasn't because Donald Trump, but it was like one of those things where I was like, okay, I think I have to be sober now. Like I did not expect this. I did not expect our reality to go this way.
It's impressive that was the opposite reaction I had.
No, I think that was a lot for a lot of people, but for me, I was like, I don't remember the Obama presidency.
Yeah.
Wow.
I just don't remember what happened, and now I'm about to go into Donald Trump for 50 years or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever his reign is, it's 1,000-year Reich.
The Trump family, the multiple.
I need my wits about me for this one.
I really felt like I need to be, and at the time I was like, am I going to be like witness to like some Muslim person getting the shit beat out of them? And am I going to be like a drunk guy going, oh, what's going on? Like I really felt like that.
Yeah, you need to be able to like jump into
really
action.
Felt like that was going to happen in the the weeks, and of course other things did happen, and atrocities, but I really felt like, God damn, I really need to stop doing this. And when I went to Reddit and told people, it was just the opposite reaction to people in the real world. Yeah. When I told people in the real world, it was like I told them that I had the Zika virus and like, hey, I'm stopping drinking now. And people were like, okay, do you mind if I drink milk, or is that okay? Like, am I gonna set you off?
Like, I still drink liquids.
Yeah, it's like I'm good with like just beverages. I'm not like you're not gonna like
stay alive.
Trigger me by like slurping, like making a slurping sound or something.
I still need vitamin D, bro. Chill.
The clink of ice in a glass is gonna make me turn into like a fucking werewolf or something. It's not that. And so I got that reaction from a lot of people, and people were like afraid of me. People that were like ambivalent about me were suddenly afraid of me. People stopped talking to me.
You're drinking friends, like you're. I mean, New York's like such a drinking town, and the weather and the bars. It's really fun. God. I mean,
it is. New York City is a place where you can sleepwalk to work and back home.
Totally.
Like there were so many times I would just get drunk and walk around New York City at fucking 3 a.m. and then go home on a train, fall asleep on the train, and wake up as I get to my stop, or do the classic Lena Dunham Girls episode and like wake up in Coney Island, which I did twice. I woke up at Coney Island with like somebody sweeping my feet and like, get off the train. So
romantic.
Yeah, New York is so beautiful. Oh, in the springtime, it's so gorgeous to wake up at Coney Island and have a guy hitting you with a mop to wake you up.
I guess I'll go.
Yeah, you're the one. You end up in the middle of the like shoot the freak paintball thing. You're just like, what?
It really felt like that. But so yes, you're right. A lot of my like, not even friends at this point. In retrospect, none of these people were my friends, but the people that I talked to and I interacted with and I would go get drinks with, which is that wasn't a friendship. It was more like a enabling thing. Yeah. These people no longer wanted to speak to me. I had a friend of like 2 years, a friend who I said, hey, I'm not drinking anymore. I hope that doesn't bother you. He didn't say anything back. He just stopped talking to me. And I was so shocked by that. And I was like, oh, I was like Neo waking up from the Matrix. I was like, oh, right.
Wow.
I've been living a complete lie, thinking that booze was my friend, or, and these people were my friend. My real friends are like Tony Soprano or SpongeBob. These are my real friends. They never wanted me to drink. They were just there for me when I needed them. But then when you go to the subreddit and I said, I'm a little shy about this. I've never posted here before, really, after my like slamming my computer shut about the previous post. And I like started a new account, that kind of thing. Like I started a new account so people wouldn't like get my paper trail. And people were just like, hey, this is a tough time. Like, and then these next couple days, you're going to feel elation, depression. You're going to be terrified. You're going to have like intense cravings. You're going to feel like maybe I should turn back. Like people were giving me so much warmth for no reason. Like I was, whatever my name was at the time, like Cheese Doodle 76 or whatever, they were giving Cheese Doodle 76 like all this
love
respect
and support and compassion.
And love and support. And
definitely don't have a drinking problem before 2069.
Yeah. But like, I could not believe that they were giving, whatever Jeb Bush did 9/11 this much love
Right.
for something that is condemned. Like, I should be condemned for this. I should be chastised for this. And instead people were being weirdly nice. And it's like, I will say another thing about that group is it was the like alternative to AA. Because I can't do AA. I can't be in that kind of situation where people are in a circle and it is, in my head, a circle jerk. I just cannot be in a room full of people leaning on each other in a clockwise fashion. So it was good to have the distance of the subreddit to say, like, I need help. But as soon as I get that help, I don't want to talk to you people. I don't want to know you people. I just want to be a part of a group of people that know exactly what I'm going through right now and can speak to the same kind of crisis I'm having. And then we go our separate ways because I am an individual. You are individuals. We don't know each other's names. It's like, so the anonymous part of it is so crucial. It was so crucial for me because I would never have stepped in any kind of like gymnasium and like got a coffee and spoke to some trembling 45-year-old man about his drinking problem. There's just no way. There's just absolutely no way. Without the internet, I would be dead. Without this particular thing.
And that's actually a profound. I mean, that's a super profound point because I feel like that is like the digitally native nature of Reddit. Because again, this is where like Reddit is poorly designed. People who like go to it and they're just like, this looks weird. I don't want to be a part of it. It's like, you have to be able to know a little bit of like what it means to navigate a digital space to then feel comfort in the fact that it is a digital space. And you kind of go, oh, I know that the people here had to go through that gate of like, Reddit is weird.
Yes.
Like now I'm here. Right. And so, you kind of go through that. And I think, I mean, we talk a lot about sex positivity on this pod too, because Reddit is just like a profoundly sex positive place, largely speaking. And it's sex positive in a really interesting way, right? Where like, you can post, there's a subreddit for every vague kind of sex thing, right? And it just manifests in a way that, I mean, other than illegal shit, I mean, that they've done a good job sussing that out. But like, if you want to post dick pics with like fucking weird shit dangling from your nuts, like you can do that, and people are just like, hey, cool, great, good on you. That's
and
that's
not
cool,
only that, they'll be like, this is very reminiscent of like Greco-Roman, like they'll go into some kind of some kind of thing where it's like, okay, well, you got a master's in art or whatever, I get it, but this is just my junk.
And I think, I mean, we like one of my favorite episodes we've ever done, and I think it's just because it's really my favorite Reddit thing that I've ever seen, was on this amazing, it's this subreddit called Ask Docs. And it's literally just like Ask Doctors, right? And it's for people who kind of in a
I thought you said Ask Ducks. Sorry.
Ask Ducks. No,
other favorite.
Okay. Another quack.
Exactly. You ask doctors very specific weird medical things, and there's doctors and they have flair that indicate if they are a doctor or not. And it could be anything. I mean, it could be like, I got this weird green ooze coming out of my ear, right? Or it's like I was prescribed, Ritalin. I feel crazy. What do I do? Whatever. Like, it could be anything. But one of the best posts I've ever seen was of a guy on Ask Docs who was like an ex-drug addict who originally went there to say, hey, I'm an ex-addict. I was just diagnosed with terminal cancer I think it was terminal cancer. I've only have 6 months to live, but they're trying to get me on opiates. I don't want to die addicted to a thing that I tried to fight my whole life, right? And then you saw this series of like 3 or 4 posts that was him going through the path of his experience dying. And it became a thing all about like, I started here. Now I'm just talking about my dying experience. I'm explaining to everybody here that wants to hear what it feels like to die and what it feels like to be going through this thing. And in this Reddit community, this is the most support I've ever gotten from anybody. So I feel like I have to share what I'm going through, because otherwise I would have just died an angry old man. But now I'm dying feeling like I got this effusive support from people that I don't know, but you all seem like my friends now. So it's like this really like extreme. I'll send a text to you. Travis.
Yeah, I would love to see it.
Dude, it is like it is so touching, so profound. And this is the other odd, interesting thing about Reddit. I think because of the anonymity, you will also often see people that'll like if something's written really well and is like really special, you'll see people go like, I think this is copy pasta, but it's still really good. So good job. You know, like people kind of stick in this world where like it may be real, it may not, but it doesn't necessarily matter. What matters is that the world that we're existing in right now, this is the reality, and we're just going to entertain it as reality. Like we also, I mean, another one that I love is the meth subreddit, which is like a completely different thing, obviously. But there are crazy stories on the meth subreddit that you read and you're just like, oh my God.
And
like,
these are these like prior meth addicted people, or are they are active?
Current meth.
Current.
So
current.
The meth subreddit is people who are in the meth community is a community. Like they are people who are like showing off their bongs, showing off the like beautiful crystal. I mean, it's one of those
weird.
Things you
it's
look
like
at it and you're just like, wow, I feel like you're supposed to be ashamed of this, but you guys are all very supportive of each other. Cool.
Meth gives you strange egotistical powers, apparently. But these people are not shy. They're like, meth rules. And they're all kind of trying to promote it a little bit.
Right.
But then you'll get those posts that are like, hey, I've been in a funk for 72 hours being followed by the shadow people. And you're like,
eating street crab.
I wonder if there is a subreddit for when they're ready to get out of that life, because it cannot be sustainable.
I mean, it's a combination, because this is what's interesting about the meth subreddit. It's people that are like, this is such a chastised part of society that like, if you're on it, we're here for it. If you're trying to get off of it, we're also here for it. It's the mere fact that you've been in this sphere that you're a part of us now.
It's interesting to me because alcohol contributes to so much death in America. And yet we have not sort of moved into the phase where we're talking about alcohol the same way we talk about meth. It's like not meth is like a shorthand for like something's crazy and like it's bad. It's bad to the core.
Follow the money.
I know, absolutely. I totally understand.
Look at the triangle.
It's like it's almost like because I'm sure there are many drinking subreddits that are like whiskey guys or like
100%.
Wine dudes,
whiskey and hatchets.
Yes, it's like honestly, stop drinking and any kind of whiskey subreddit should coexist, because there needs to be that yin and yang, because right now it is unmitigated pro drink culture.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if on these like alcohol subreddits, if they talk about like, I need to lay off of alcohol for a bit, because it can't be all pro drinking. It can't be because it's a poison for your body, and it has the pleasure of it has to coexist with the misery and pain that it does cause in a backlash way. And it's just weird that there has to be. It's just interesting to me that the meth subreddit has both of those, the duality of it in one
100%.
Place. Whereas alcohol, I think it's like, stop drinking. You're on one side of the spectrum. Drinking, it's rocks, and I love it, and it's how I met my wife.
Did you
go ahead, Dom.
Oh, I was going to ask Travis, like, how's it been going, and have you kept up to speed with anybody on Reddit, or do you still visit the community, or do you give advice to other people? Or like not advice, but you just communicate, I guess. Is
the thing that is interesting for me is because I do have I am on different shows occasionally, like all the last podcasting type stuff, and I'm not ashamed of the fact that I had a drinking issue when I in my 20s. Like the fact that I even mention it on these kind of like bigger things where a lot of people are listening. I don't need to be on Reddit to talk about it, because oftentimes people will just contact me directly and say, hey, I appreciate you just saying that you had an issue with drinking and you confronted it. And like, what do you think I should do? And I don't have like the greatest advice in the world, but I try to be like, wow, it took guts to like speak to someone directly, and maybe someone that you like, even if you're like coming to me and you heard me on something, it's like, that takes guts, and you're no longer anonymous when you come to me in my DMs or you send me an email or something. So it feels good to actually not be anonymous with it when it comes to just telling my own personal story. Years ago, I would have never I would never even dream to admit this to anybody. Right. But now I'm like, whatever. I made a fucking horrible mistake. I was a young, stupid, scared kid who moved to New York City, and instead of finding an actual community, I found community in my own like alienation. Like I found community in booze. I found like solace in something that is like so obviously now a bad place to find it. But
there's like actually an identity in it.
Yeah, and I really did think that I was like, I'm a wine guy.
Yeah.
And the thing that I always like, I'm not old, but it's like if you're 22, you make so many mistakes, and it's just mistake after mistake. And if you don't have like a person there telling you like, you might want to watch your step there, it's just so easy to fall down and like have a domino effect. So any advice I try to give someone who's maybe having a problem with this is to find your community. And it's like the theme of Reddit, right? Like even if it's not online, find a community of people, find a support system, because without that, the normal human emotions of fear and insecurity and anger will lead to your downfall if you do not have someone there. Like, you are just a human. I thought for a long time that I didn't need anybody, that I didn't need like parents, that I didn't need friends. And that vacuum just got filled by something really dark instead. So whenever anyone does come to me in my DMs, I'm just like, stop whatever you're doing, find your community, find your people, because we are social creatures. We need to talk to people. We need to get things off our chest. We need to know that there is somebody out there on the same wavelength as us. Otherwise, you're going to give into powerful moneyed interests like booze or like lobby. Meth. So it really is like the theme of Reddit and the theme of humanity. It's like you find your people.
Nice.
So
that's so true.
I mean,
on that note, I have to sign off and drive my kid to preschool. You guys keep talking.
Yeah, we're gonna keep on for a couple more minutes. I want to wrap up a couple little things.
I want to say goodbye and thank you, Travis.
Thank you so much, man.
Talk to you later.
All right. But yeah, I mean, I think the other thing too is there's an element of the democratization of the internet that I think also makes it extremely powerful. And this is something I feel like maybe last pod. I mean, this is an interesting way to segue kind of in the last pod stuff.
Yeah.
Is there's I meet people of all variety who listen to last pod, right? And also at the same rate, we're not necessarily connected by anything until we're connected by that one thing. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, great. Like, even living in LA, I mean, this has always been kind of an interesting, I don't think it's a joke. It's more like just a weird matter of fact of living in a place like Los Angeles, where like you make friends with people in the entertainment industry, and then those are the only people you know, right?
Yes.
I don't meet a postal worker. I don't meet somebody who's a doctor. I just don't interact with these people. So all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, like you meet somebody who is like working as an insurance agent. You're just like, whoa, that's crazy. What's that like? And then with something like stopping drinking or even last pod, I know that the people who are like last pod or even our podcast, where we have people from all over the world who do a variety of different things and yada yada, but we're all connected through this weird central place that is the only thing we really need to coexist doing. We don't need to be able to like talk about work. I don't need to be like, oh, I'm working on this script, and someone goes like, yeah, scripts, totally. It's like, no, it's like, I'm a fucking insurance agent. I don't know what you're talking about. I live in a house in the suburbs. I'm 45, you know?
Yeah.
And that, I think, is the other thing that's really powerful, because we don't do that in our physical relationships with people. Doing that through this internet mechanism allows for us to engage with sincerity instead of getting caught up in the superficial shit that keeps us from doing that. You know?
And you can't, in the real world, you can't like look at a crowd of people and then filter the crowd of people. Totally. Like the way that Reddit is like, that's why we wear T-shirts with bands on them. You know, like
100%.
that's why we wear.
100%.
That's why people wear Last Podcast shirts. It's a way. It's the part in Inglourious Bastards where the guy does a 3 instead of a 3, and then that shibboleth, it signals to someone, I'm a part of this community or I'm not a part of this community. It is I forgot what I was saying, but yes, I totally agree.
And that I think, I mean, that's again kind of why, you know, it's funny, like the meth, I've always been enamored by the meth subreddit, and I think this is exactly why, is like, because, you know, it's a similar thing, like with a stop drinking, there's an intention, and that is, you're there for the intention, and then the intention, it's surrounded by all these other elements, right? Which is like, you know, it doesn't matter if you were drinking whiskey or vodka or wine or beer or absinthe, like people are all kind of actively trying to stop. I think with something like the meth subreddit, it's a little bit more like, it was hard enough to find a community of people that understood being a part of this weird world that we got in for all these other, for these like lifestyle decisions we made, right? Where like, kind of like, you know, if you get into meth, you probably have a certain kind of backstory that is similar to people. So meth is like this interesting flag of understanding that, like, hey, I went through a bad rebellious phase, or like I'm from a bad part of town, or like I grew up, my parents had a problem and then I kind of inherited it. So it's suddenly meth is the mechanism by which people with complex, difficult to talk about paths all connect, even though meth is a bad thing. I think that's why, you know, some people are like, I'm trying to quit, and some people are like, hell yeah, look at my crystal. It's like, that's not the point. The point is like, I know that you also had a fucking rough childhood, or like, I know that you hung out with this kind of person and it drew you into a weird path, and now we're all here coexisting together where other people I know in my life wouldn't understand, you know? And I think that's really powerful. And I think that Last Pod, because it focuses on such dark shit,
yes,
I think people get to go, you know, I mean, some people maybe come in because like Henry is really funny and they watch, you know, like, Your Pretty Face is Going to Hell, or maybe they caught some of Ben's political commentary. But like, most people are there because they're just like, I have a dark sense of humor. I find safety and solace in people fucking around with this dark stuff, because I know that the other dark stuff is actually dark and I don't want to entertain it, right? Which I think is kind of the way I relate to it, which I just go, this is funny and I don't mind hearing about John Wayne Gacy, but like, if I see somebody talk about like a bad divorce on TV, I get fucking depressed, you know what I mean? And it's like, people don't understand that, so you connect around this weird psychological phenomenon, you know?
Yeah, and I think there's just so many people on this fucking planet that sometimes I feel like you have to, like, to be considered another person that you want to talk to, you have to kind of earn it a little bit.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people, and we're so fractured, and we're no longer all watching Johnny Carson, or, you know, like, where there's so many different types of things and types of music and movies and political fucking insane conspiracy thoughts. It's like, you have to earn someone's like trust by signaling these different things. Like, I like kind of funnily liking serial killers is kind of becoming I don't even know, like, it is like a new identity for so many young people that it almost is kind of scary that people are like, so like wearing, you know, Jeffrey Dahmer with heart eyes shirts and shit. Like, it's a little weird.
I mean, it's horrific for sure, but it's also like, it's, you know, I'm like a Hesher, dude. Like, I love metal. I listen to fucking Dark Throne and shit. And then people would be like, dude, you have a problem. I'd be like, no, I just like other people who listen to this music too. It makes me feel like there's people who like this strange world. And then that's the, like, anybody goes to a metal show, they'd be like, oh, they're the nicest people in the world. They'll help you up if you fall down, right?
Yeah.
If I go to a fucking Ariana Grande show, I'm gonna get trampled to death, you know? And it's a completely different thing.
Or you might get blown up.
Yeah, or you fuck, man. Yeah, honestly, I mean, Jesus Christ, like
dangerous.
Yeah, Kenny Chesney show. I mean, like, but yeah, it's I mean, it's community like anything else, and I think that's I like the analogy of why you would wear a band shirt is because that is a perfect signaling because I think about this a lot whenever I see somebody wearing like a Muse shirt or something where I'm just like, what are you saying by wearing a Muse shirt? I don't know. Like,
I think that if you wear a Muse shirt, you drive a Honda Civic and you work part-time at Barnes and Noble.
Yeah,
and you might be dabbling in like poly relationships a little bit after Settlers of Catan or something.
Yeah, but if you see somebody who's wearing like a Cannibal Corpse shirt, you go, I know what you're part of. I know your scene. I know your thing, right?
Yeah, you can just sort of say like, I know that this person isn't going to bullshit me about. They're not going to sell me a Bible or something. It can be that simple. It's like this person is not going to try to like sell me some bullshit. I think that's a big part too. Like everyone's trying to sell you nonsense, like whether it be like physical products or like some nonsense belief they have. It's like if you wear a Cannibal Corpse shirt, you realize that people are just fucking meat. Anyway, so who cares? I think, a little bit like that, right? Like, it's just like, we're all just sentient meat, so it doesn't matter. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, I mean, or the mere fact that you know who that is, and all of a sudden you go, oh, well, then you listened to this kind of thing growing up, and you downloaded this kind of music from Napster, and then you were part of this kind of community. So,
and another thing about just like last podcast, it is, so my experience with the last podcast community initially started years ago on Facebook. There used to be a giant Facebook group for Last Podcast that was kind of like unofficial.
Yeah.
But
10 years, right? You guys just had your 10 year or something, right?
Yeah, they did. I mean, I came on a couple years after they started, but they've been doing it for 10 years technically, I guess. And that Facebook group was a little like, I was drinking at the time, and it was still a part of like a little bit of solace. But when you go to a Last Podcast live show, it is really like seeing a community it is like seeing a real world Facebook group or subreddit. Crazy. Because it is a bit homogenous. Yeah. But it's also interesting to see like, so one strain of thought can take on so many different variations in it, like a real world setting. There's like 50-50 women and men. The women are all like pretty attractive, like gothy type people who are also like library scientists. And and then the men are all guys with, they're a little chubby, they have beards, and then there's like a picture of a bleeding cheeseburger or something on their shirt. And those are the two types of people in the Last Podcast audience. But it is kind of beautiful because it's like all of these people, they probably could all get into one big fuck pile right now. Because they're all like, they all like each other's sensibilities. Everyone can kind of, it's just weird.
That's so funny. I went to a Last Podcast show in LA like a few years ago, and a big titty goth girlfriend and a neckbeard with a bleeding cheeseburger t-shirt got engaged in line. Yes. I was just like,
but this is awesome. That is reproduced in every single city
show.
And not only in different cities, but you'll see that couple. It's like what they do in old video games where they just like copy and paste background NPCs.
All NPC characters.
Yeah. It is just copy and pasted for like 1,000 people in the audience, and I'm like, these people are like just in a giant like sister wife relationship.
Amazing.
They don't even know it. They don't even know that they're all married together.
I love it. I love that so much.
I'm hoping that we continue to develop our own homogenous group of fans where I'm hoping we have a bunch of like anti-Israel Saudi Arabians, and that's where
your live show audience might result in like a skirmish or something. Yeah. like a Black Hawk Down situation.
Oh man, that would be fucking incredible. All right. Well, I know that we're kind of approaching what we like to call Joe Rogan time.
Oh yeah,
where we've been doing this for a couple hours now.
Oh yeah, doesn't he do like 5-hour sessions or something?
Yeah, he does 5 hours. He does 5-hour shows. Yeah, with Duncan Trussell, where they talk about weed for 5 hours or whatever, but weed and kettlebells. Yeah. So this, I mean, Travis, this has been amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much,
dude. I'm really really kind of you to share the story, and I know that some of our frequent listeners, I know have been kind of voicing their own interest in the topic in the Twitch stream as well. And so your can I say your Instagram name? It's public, right?
Yeah, of course. It's it's Ghost Garbage or Travis Morningstar. Either one works.
Yeah, and it's kind of the best repository. We didn't even talk about this, so this might be another episode we do. But it's like the greatest repository of like fucking bizarro TikToks.
Yeah, it's like kind of weird because I didn't have a TikTok for a long time because I was like, why would I ever want to go on that? Right. And then my girlfriend, she like goes to sleep by watching TikToks every night. And I started watching some of them. I was like, this is fucking, why are all these goblins on this children's karaoke app? And so I found a couple of videos that I saw on her TikTok, and I like kind of, the same way that you like can splice plants by putting like seeds together in your garden. I took some of those videos and I started liking and following those people on TikTok. And the thing about the TikTok algorithm is that it is insanely smart and good at figuring out what you like about a certain type of video. So I started liking all these like people nodding off on TikTok from heroin. And TikTok's like, I got you. And so they just started populating my feed, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? There's like a guy on his deathbed singing Meatloaf, and then like into the camera. And I'm like, this is beautiful. Download. So yeah, I just populate my TikTok, my Instagram with those TikToks, and people are just like horrified. But then I also put them on our last stream on the left show for the guys to riff on. But yeah, so if you want to see some more TikToks, there are periods where I can't do it because it does get genuinely depressing to me. But I am gearing up for another year of populating this hellscape. And somebody asked if there's if I watched Your Mom's House. I have never seen it, but every time I post something, at least one person is like, Christina P would love this, or like, you should check out Christina P. So I know that there's like an actual like famous person who does a bunch of TikToks, but I like to think I put my own little spin on these people's on this horror show
audience now. So, and then other than that, so I know that you're going to continue working with the Last Pod Boys, who we obviously love, and I saw you guys announced a Red Rocks show coming up.
Yeah,
which is
crazy. In June. Yeah, apparently they've never done a live podcast show there before, so this is the first in history where a podcast is performing at Red Rocks. And so it's pretty scary because I make all the videos and stuff for the show, and I'm like not like amazing at making videos, but I am competent. So it's like, God, this really sucks that I don't have like a couple of years to like do better. Like I would like, because I think like Sting and Michael Jackson have performed at the Red Rocks Theater.
Oh, everybody's done Red Rocks. I've seen huge people do Red Rocks. So you have the stage, my friend.
I'm just like kind of scared, but yeah, apparently it's going to be.
You'll be great, man.
It's kind of it's going to be interesting. It's a beautiful looking venue, though. Yeah.
Well, you guys are a force. I mean, we really respect, and I think that I don't want to downplay your role in their work, because I think it's the three dudes, of course, but everything that goes into it is hugely important, and you're a big contributor to that. So congrats.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's just like I'm the, like I said, I feel like I feel like Renfield to Dracula, which and apparently Renfield is about to have his own movie soon. They're releasing a Renfield movie, and I hope they get like Tim Roth or someone to play.
Well, Space Garbage, the pod. So I think that's Space Garbage. Is that your name?
Ghost Garbage.
Ghost Garbage. I was like Space Garbage. One of the two. Yeah. So Ghost Garbage, the pod coming soon, I guess.
Let's
exclusively regale your like bizarre drinking horror stories.
Yes.
All right. Well. Okay. So this is Did You Reddit, a weekly podcast. about the internet by way of Reddit. The front page of the internet. My name is It's Your Dad.
I'm Dog Boobs.
I'm Ghost
Travis
Garbage.
Ghost Garbage.
I'm Cheese Doodle 76.
Jeb Bush did 9/11.
Thank you so much, Cheese Doodle. Yeah. It was great having you.
Thank you for everybody who'd followed along with this one. Shia LaDouche, Dr. Spakaman, Fat Loser 293,
Moheen Chengus 9.
Wow, these are all the people.
Loser,
these are all the people that helped me on Stop Drinking. That's great.
I love it.
Friend music. Thank you guys all for paying attention. Don't commit terrorist acts. We're gonna add that to our to our new thing.
Don't
grind that pole.
Grind the pole. Smoke the mug. Love you.
Hail Satan, I guess, on behalf of the Last Pod Boys. Hail yourselves.
Hell yeah.
All right. Thanks, Travis. See ya.
Bye.